Let's talk about the new guidance from the CDC when it comes to those people who are immunocompromised. They now say if you had an mRNA vaccine and you're immunocompromised, you should get that fourth shot after at least 3 months. You know, prior to this, that number was 5 months. And I think this is one of those things, you know, people are often confused about the timing of when they should get this.
Yeah, so this is again, we've talked about this in the past. This is actually following science in real time. And people may think it's confusing, but what's happening is the data is changing. So the recommendations are really changing with the data. It's not that they didn't know what they were talking about before. It just shows now that if you're immunocompromised, 5 months ain't enough and you need to get it at 3 months. So just again, science, following it prospectively. That's what we're seeing.
All right, let's talk about everybody else. We recently saw, obviously such high infection rates here in the tri-state. So there's a lot of questions about, people's immunity. If they haven't received that booster shot yet, do they still need to get one, and when is the optimal time to get it? So let's talk about the fully vaccinated person who recently became infected. How do we figure out the timing of this?
Yeah, so talking about now, it'd be probably different for Delta versus Omicron. We're in the Omicron phase now, so let's talk about that. So what the preliminary data shows now that you probably, if you've gotten COVID, you probably have about 3 months of protection. And I still recommend you get a booster because who knows what the next variant is, or Omicron is not going to totally go away. It's going to be endemic. So you'd want to get the booster, right at the tail end maybe of the 3 months. You could get it earlier. The recommendation is as long as you're asymptomatic, you're a candidate for getting the booster shot, even if you've had COVID.
Now, what about those people who do test positive for COVID, monoclonal antibodies, antivirals? You've been, dealing with COVID positive patients for years now.
Yeah. So interesting. So if you're, again, not much has changed other than some of the monoclonal antibodies no longer work. Now we have new ones. So if you're exposed to COVID, even if you're vaccinated and you're high risk, you'd still be a candidate for monoclonal antibodies. And now we have these new antivirals from Merck and Pfizer. And the one from Pfizer in particular, if you're positive for COVID-19, if you take these drugs within 3 days, whether you're vaccinated or not, you decrease hospitalizations and death by 88%. So it's pretty remarkable that we have this therapy at this point.